Welcome to That's Good Sports. I'm Brandon. My biggest con is that this YouTube channel only has cons perna. Today, per your request in the community tab, we will be doing a pros and cons list of some of the top players in the NFL draft. This is for all of the non-quarterbacks who will get their own episode in a day or two. And just so you get some incredible value in this video, I brought in Bengal to give you some real deep insight to a couple players in this draft. Bengal has upped his NFL content, so make sure you give him a sub. His link is in the description. All right, pros, cons, draft dudes. That's good sports. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you don't, your team's gonna draft a real stupid player. Today's episode is sponsored by Fubo TV. 7 months ago, I cut my daughter's umbilical cord. 1 month ago, I cut my cord to the cable company. And unlike my daughter, Fubo TV actually saves me money. I chose Fubo TV because they have the best sports package, and I can watch my Good Morning Football while writing in the early hours of the morn. Fubo TV comes with over 100 of your favorite channels at about half the cost of cable, and has cloud DVR, so you can watch anything you record on whatever device you choose. It's incredibly easy to set up. It literally takes just a couple minutes, and you can try it for free and cancel at any time with no 2-year commitment like you need with cable. Sign up for a risk-free trial of Fubo TV and get 15% off your first month by going to FuboTV.com/thatsgoodsports. FuboTV.com/thatsgoodsports to start your free trial and to get 15% off your first month. Pros, cons. Let's kick it off right with Kyle Pitts, tight end coming out of Florida. Pro, easily the most explosive player in the draft. Pro, is able to play tight end and wide receiver. Con, his lack of obvious cons is vaguely suspicious. Pro, didn't even run straight at his pro day and still had a 4.44 40-yard dash.
Con, failed the field sobriety test at his own pro day.
Con, the Athletic called him a twitchy big man, which is offensive to people with Tourette syndrome and drug addicts. Another tight end, Pro Wells, TCU. Pro, he is literally the only player in draft history who can say he's been a pro his entire fucking life. Penei Sewell, tackle, Oregon. Pro, has an extremely funny name, Penei Sewell. Con, no one could ever say that to his face. Pro is 6'6", 325 pounds at only 20 years old. Con, if he continues to grow at the same rate he has his entire life, he will be 9'8", 487 pounds by the time he turns 30. Con, really limited sample size to be regarded so highly for one of the toughest and most important positions to play in the NFL. He didn't block a lot of premier edge rushers, and Oregon ran a shit ton of screens, which makes evaluating blocking a bit tough since the lineman's job is to, let the pass rusher go by on screens. Pro did not allow a single sack last year. More impressively, didn't allow a single pressure, and was not even called for holding once. And he has a very high football IQ. Convincing people you're not stupid when you're an offensive lineman is one of the hardest things to do. So let's bring in Bengal now for linebacker Zaven Collins.
Pros with Zaven Collins are easy to spot as you see him lined up there at outside linebacker. He's extremely big, he's extremely fast, and he's really good in zone coverage as well. It's interesting because he recently weighed in at 270 pounds, which is a lot for a linebacker, but if you play him at outside linebacker in a 3-4 scheme, you can get a guy that can drop it and play off the ball really, really well because he excels in coverage, moves around like someone 30, 40 pounds lighter than he actually is. But then you have someone that can actually play off the edge, be strong enough to set the edge, and still bring pressure to the quarterback on clear pass rush situations. Some of his potential flaws could come with the alignment of Tulsa's base defense. They play at 3-3-5. Now, what does that mean? 3 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, 5 defensive backs. This is not a very common base formation for many pro-style defenses, so it means that Zaven Collins' responsibilities from going from Tulsa to the NFL are going to change substantially. Depending on what his role is and what team and scheme he goes to, he might be doing something he's never done before. This could create an interesting challenge for defensive coaches about what do you do with Zaven Collins, where do you align him, where do you play him, and how good will he be in that role.
Moving on to Micah Parsons. Pro is a capable run stopper and pass rusher at linebacker. Con has speed and agility but hasn't figured out pass coverage yet. Con has fairly serious character issues dating back to high school, which is the opposite of me, who just had issues dating in high school. Con, 0 tackles, 0 sacks last season. It's like he wasn't even trying. Pro might not actually be the best linebacker in this draft, but is considered the #1 pick at linebacker because his athletic ability is off the charts. Just needs to go to the right defense, I think, to succeed. Then we've got Rashawn Slater, tackle, Northwestern. He's probably the tackle I'd target in the draft. If I remember anything about Slaters, it's that they're great Christians and even better at football. Pro, this is incredible. He also allowed 0 sacks last season. Pro, and this is coming straight off of a draft guide. Feet are as impressive as you'll see from a tackle. Could be a world-class dancer. Impressive feet? Paging Rex Ryan? I think this guy could be a multimillionaire on OnlyFans with draft analysis like that. Con, he's only 6'3". Probably should have eaten more Penei in college. Joe Thomas is 6'6", Trent Williams 6'5", Eric Fisher 6'7", Orlando Brown Jr. 6'8". Now that doesn't mean he won't be a good tackle in the NFL. David Bakhtiari is only 6'5". It's just the biggest thing he's knocked for, his size, and it's why he's not ahead of Penei Sewell, in my opinion. Pro, he's quick and technically very sound. He's not going to get caught out of position and understands the defense like a quarterback. Put him with a good QB who needs a tackle, and holy shit, prepare to forget he has anything to do with that quarterback's success. Then we've got Jamar Chase, wide receiver, LSU. Pro is considered the best, most explosive, complete wide receiver in a great wide receiver draft class. Con, Chase didn't catch a single ball last season. Is he that dependent on Joe Burrow? Pro, might only play with Joe Burrow his entire career if the Bengals take him. Con, thanks to the new number rules, Jamar Chase could become the first player to ever wear number 1 with the Bengals. Why is that bad? Pro, has been compared to Larry Fitzgerald in terms of how he plays the position. Con, that means he will be one of the best wide receivers to ever play the game that nobody will ever talk about. And if they do, it's always an afterthought. Oh yeah, and I forgot, Larry Fitzgerald, also pretty good. And we've got Devonta Smith, wide receiver, Alabama. Pro, by all accounts, was an excellent student, has great character, and is one of the hardest workers in the draft. Con, Smith weighs in at just 170 pounds. 166 pounds, which is almost just a half of a Penei Sewell. And who only wants a half a plate of Penei? Pro, whichever team drafts him will save a ton of money in food cost every year. Pro, caught the national championship winning touchdown from Tua and put up a Heisman season with Mac Jones. Also out of Alabama, wide receiver Jaylen Waddle. Pro, has been compared to Tyreek Hill. Con, has been compared to Tyreek Hill. Pro, probably the fastest receiver at Alabama, a school of many fast receivers. Con, couldn't have a less fitting name for the way he moves. Con, played receiver at Alabama, and this applies to Devonta Smith as well. Alabama receivers almost never have to catch balls in traffic or make contested catches. As we witnessed with Jerry Jeudy last season, that may result in a lot of drop passes as a rookie as they adjust to playing against NFL caliber defenses. Then we've got Patrick Surtain, cornerback. Pro has an NFL pedigree. And you might not know this, but his father is Patrick Surtain Sr., owner of the Pedigree dog food empire. Con, NFL teams are certain that he'll be the best corner out of the entire class. Pro has been compared to Nnamdi Asomugha, a great man-to-man corner with the Raiders. Con, just don't let him form a dream team in Philadelphia. Then let's go to Caleb Farley, cornerback from our friend Bengal.
For Caleb Farley, you can see at the top of your screen there, he's a really, really good player on the field. He's got really good clean hips. He can run with anybody when he flips and turns. And he's a really, really good athlete as shown by his closing speed and recovery speed. He's probably the best off-man corner in the draft, and his ability athletically and his explosiveness allows him to be one of the best off-man corners. Pretty good in press as well. Caleb Farley's a really, really good player on the field. However, the big concerns when you get to Caleb Farley, how is he going to hold up at the next level physically? Had a microdiscectomy,
which is where they try and double the size of your micropenis.
Which is a back surgery. It's a procedure where you have a herniated disc or ruptured herniated disc in the spine removed.
Potato, you know?
And there really isn't such a thing as a minor back surgery.
Unless of course you're under the age of 18 when you have it.
And if you're a team looking to draft him, you worry about longevity. You worry about keeping him on the field because back surgeries are no joke. So even if you have an 80% chance that Farley is just going to be fine and he can be the player that he was at Virginia Tech and the player that you think he's going to be able to become at the next level, you still might have that 20% chance that Farley could injure that back or never get to full strength and significantly limit how long his NFL career is.
Thank you again, Bengal, for ensuring this episode isn't a complete joke. Running back, Najee Harris, Alabama. Pro. Has surprising agility for his 6'1", 230-pound frame. Pro has been compared to former Bears running back Matt Forte. Con, probably praying he doesn't become future Bears running back Najee Harris. Con, since Derrick Henry did it in 16 games, he'll be a failure if he never runs for 2,000 yards in the new 17-game season. Pro, a 6'1" running back who's great at catching passes out of the backfield, which is why he's compared to Matt Forte. That could be a real dangerous weapon in the NFL. Running back, Javonte Williams, North Carolina. Con, is not named Najee Harris or Travis Etienne, who everyone believes are the two best backs in this draft class. Pro, could sneakily be the best running back in this draft class. Con, isn't considered a great pass-catching running back. Pro, broke 76 tackles on 157 carries last year, which means he will break at least one tackle on every other rushing attempt. I think broken tackles is one of the most important metrics for a running back in terms of their talent translating to the NFL level. Con, had his worst game against a very good Notre Dame defense. Pro, had 27 carries of 15 yards or more. At 5'10", 220 pounds, he is literally the perfect size for a running back. We've got corner Jaycee Horn, South Carolina Gamecock. Pro, Jaycee Horn's father is former NFL receiver Joe Horn. Con, Jaycee better not use an iPhone instead of a flip phone if he ever tries to celebrate like this. Pro, able to thrive in either a zone or man scheme, is very physical on the line of scrimmage, and at 6'1" can outmuscle wide receivers. Con, played such a deep zone last year that I couldn't even find him on tape. Pro, has been compared to Richard Sherman in terms of his physicality and skill. Remember, Sherman was a 5th round draft pick, so Horn has performed better at the college level to be considered a first, maybe early 2nd round pick. Con, much like Deshaun Watson, gets a little too handsy and will be penalized for it. We've got safety, Trevon Moehrig. Pro, easily the highest rated safety in this draft class. Con, went to Texas Christian University, aka TCU. You know who else was a Texas Christian? This guy, David Koresh. Pro, could become the first safety to wear number 7 after the rule change. Pro, led all FBS safeties in pass breakups in 2020 and 2019. His size at 6'2", coverage skills, and physicality make him an ideal NFL safety. He was recruited as a corner, which is why he has solid coverage skills, but just kept growing. So they moved him to safety, where he learned to hit like a linebacker. We've got edge rusher Gregory Rousseau, Florida? Pro is a distant relative to the philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Con, I just made that up. Pro had 15.5 sacks for Miami in 2019. Con, 0 sacks last season. It's like he just disappeared. Pro, played wide receiver, so you could sneakily drop him into coverage and expect him to pick off a couple passes every year. Con, is not considered a powerful edge rusher who can bull rush through tackles. Pro, after Kwity Paye, nobody really knows who the top edge rushers are this year. So a guy like Rousseau or Jalen Phillips or Ojulari or Oweh could end up on really good defenses drafting at the end of the first round, which should help their production. Then we go to my guy Jayson Oweh, Penn State. Pro has a really fun last name to say, especially for announcers when he notches a sack. It's Oweh or the highway. I'm an eagle. Con, not considered a violent pass rusher, which means the Chiefs definitely won't be drafting him. Pro, might be the quickest edge rusher in this draft class, which is obviously good for getting to the QB, but also has the speed to defend the run and chase down running backs. Con, 0 sacks in 2020. And unlike all of those other guys who opted out last year that I joked about, he actually played. Pro, he still had 15 QB hurries in a shortened season. Con, a GM will need massive balls and have to fall in love with him in order to justify drafting an edge rusher with 0 sacks. The big balls are needed to help the empty sack. Thanks for watching the pros and cons of some of the top players in this draft. I will have the quarterbacks up in a day or two. Thank you guys for voting for this episode on the community tab, and click another video on the screen right now. Watch my shit. Just watch my shit, dogs. Woof, woof.